All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to the most lucrative and rewarding agency model business ever developed in the U.S. Friends, I know that's a big statement, but it's true, and you're going to see why in a few minutes. This is a business where you can earn as much as $1,000 a day or more by simply helping other people begin their financial freedom journey. I want to start off this morning by asking, and I'd love to have you put your responses in the chat. Would you like to be financially free? How many of you on the presentation this morning would like to be financially free? If that's you, answer in the chat. Put your hand up, answer in the chat, whatever you'd like to do. Would love to hear that from you this morning. Friends, United Financial Freedom is solving America's affordability crisis. And this is not new. You're going to see that this is proven. This has been around now for over 20 years. And we are absolutely solving America's affordability crisis. What is the affordability crisis? Well, I'm sure you've heard about it. You've seen it. You've read it on the news. Well, friends, we are in the middle of the greatest affordability crisis I believe America has seen since the Great Depression. And that's not an understatement, because there's so many people that now don't even believe they're going to be able to afford to get a mortgage and get a home, let alone ever own that home free and clear. There's so many people out there now that are struggling just to make ends meet, to pay their rent, to buy groceries, to put food on the table. America is really smack dab in the middle of an incredible affordability crisis. Well, United Financial Freedom is the first and only financial technology company that is specifically designed to help the average Americans eliminate as much as 80% of the interest on all of their debts. And that includes the mortgage, the car loan, the student loan, and the credit cards. What if you could pay off all of your debt, including a home, in as little as 5 to 7 years, without refinancing and without changing your current lifestyle? Friends, would that change your life? Would that change the life of your children? Would that change the life of your grandchildren? Yes, in a big, big way. So let me jump in here to our demo this morning and show you how this works. But even before I do that, I just want to share, this is the really good news. As I mentioned, we've now been doing this over 20 years. And as of last week, about a week ago, the total debt under management, this is all of our clients nationwide, the total debt under management with our program is $10.6 billion. That number went up by 8 million from the previous week. And the number of the total debt eliminated, in other words, the total principal debt that we have helped our clients collectively pay off, 2.9 billion. 2.9 billion with a B, and that number went up 3.3 million from the prior week. So friends, again, this is proven. Everything that you're going to see here today is a proven system that helps Americans pay off their debt very, very rapidly and save up to 80% of the interest that they would otherwise pay the banks and the lenders. And friends, that's a big deal. When you can save that much money, well, you're going to see as we go through our demo what it's doing for this particular family. And this is just one example out of tens of thousands of examples that we could share. This is Brad and Cindy Johnson. Friends, the program that we offer people is called the Money Max account. It's an accounting system that, again, is designed to help you save the mass majority of the interest that you would pay the banks and the lenders. But what's even more important than the interest, I mean, that's pretty powerful, but what's even more important is the time that it saves you. So this is Brad and Cindy Johnson. When they got started on their program on the Money Max accounting system, it was September of 2023. So we're going to take you back a little bit in time. We're going to show you what happened with Brad and Cindy. They started in September of 2023. At the time they started, they had $1,000 in their checking. They had $5,138.89 in savings. That's a high yield savings account. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. And their home was valued at $475,000 at the time they started. So they had $481,138 in assets. This is their debts, their liabilities. They had an American Express, an auto loan, a MasterCard, a student loan, and a Visa. And you can see what the APR is on each one of these loans. You can see what the balance is, how much is still available on each one of the credit cards. You can see the monthly payment when it's due. All of their information is right there at their fingertips. Now, this is $80,000 right here on screen of consumer debt, including the 3 credit cards, the student loan, and the auto loan, $80,000 of consumer debt, plus they had just purchased a brand new home. So they had a brand new mortgage of $389.9, 6% APR interest, and the monthly payment of $2,837.65. Now I'm going to go back just a little bit. I'm going to back up. I want you to pay attention to all of the interest rates that you see here on the screen. You've got the American Express at 23.99, the MasterCard at 23.99, the Visa 21.99, the student loan 5.5%, the car loan 4.99%. And if I go back to the mortgage, that's at 6% annual percentage rate. Friends, the reason I wanted to back that up is because I want to ask you this important question. I want you to think this morning. I don't want you to just watch. I want you to be engaged. I want you to think. What was the highest interest rate of any of Brad and Cindy's debts? What was the highest interest rate? Well, I'll back it up. It's the American Express and the MasterCard. Those are the highest interest rates of all of their debt. And yet, the banks and the lenders say, guys, even though you only owe $469,936, we're tacking on an additional $491,706 of interest. Friends, mathematically, that's 104.63% interest. The banks and the lenders, if Brad and Cindy did not go down the path of the Money Max, if they would have just tried paying off everything on their own, not only would they have been paying 104.63% interest, they would have paid back almost $1 million in principal and interest to the banks, $961,426. Friends, did you see anything that shows any of their debts that showed over 23.99% interest? No. Why? Why is it 104.63% interest that the banks and the lenders want them to pay back? Because of compounding. Think about that. Albert Einstein said those who understand compound interest, those who understand it, are destined to earn it. Those who don't are doomed to pay it. That's what Albert Einstein said, and he was spot on. Friends, compounding interest either works for us or against us. Now, here's the first piece of really good news for Brad and Cindy. Even though they just bought a brand new home, the Money Max accounting system says, hey guys, you're not going to be in debt 30 years. Don't worry about it. You're going to be debt-free in 10 years. We're going to save you $337,000 of interest, and we're not going to change your lifestyle. We're not going to change your budget. You don't have to go on a beans and rice diet. $337,000 that you get to keep in your pocket instead of paying the banks and the lenders. And 20 years of debt payments. Friends, would you think that's a pretty good deal? Oh yeah, that's a fantastic deal. Now here's the rest of their story. When they started, Brad was making about $19.50 semi-monthly. Cindy was bringing home about $22.50 semi-monthly. Their total income after taxes was about $8,400 a month. Now they're spending most of that, and you can see right here they've got some of their expenses itemized, some are unitemized. They've got their food and dining budgeted about $150 a week, which comes out to be $650 for the month. They've got their bills and utilities budgeted, the power, the phone, the cable, internet, and then they've got this unitemized budget. So their household spending averages about $27.55 every month. But when you bring in the debt payments on top of that, it takes it up to where they're spending $65,73.13 every month out of the $8,400. So they're pretty much like an average American family. They don't have a lot of room left over in their budget every month after their expenses. What is the Money Max account doing for Brad and Cindy? It's the same thing that it's going to do for you and for anybody that you choose to introduce it to. It's looking at every piece of their financial information. It's breaking down every one of those debts. It's looking at each debt individually. How is this debt structured? Is it open-end or closed-end? Is it amortized or non-amortized? Is it simple interest or compound interest? And how is the interest charged? Is it charged weekly, monthly, annually? How is the interest calculated? Then it runs debt against debt, and then it brings in the expenses and the income, and it's running all of this math in the background to calculate for Brad and Cindy what's the fastest path to zero debt, what's the fastest path to save you the most amount of time and money. And friends, trust me when I tell you this, there are literally thousands of algorithms and calculations, factorial math. There is so much mathematics going on behind the scenes. We could probably put a rocket on the moon, but that's not our business. Our business is helping people manage their money much more efficiently and in a much greater way to save the most amount of time and money to get to your financial goals, whatever those are. So what it's doing is all of that math in the background is producing and putting together a customized action plan for Brad and Cindy. That's what you're seeing right here on screen. This is Brad and Cindy's action plan. All they have to do now is follow the action plan. They don't need to understand everything. They don't need to understand how compound interest versus simple interest versus open end versus closed end versus amortized versus non-amortized. They don't need to understand any of that. They just need to be able to follow a simple action plan. Can they do that? Well, sure. Anybody could do that. Friends, your sixth grader could follow an action plan. So it makes it super simple for you as the consumer to reach your goals, whatever those may be. And I'll show you how that works in a moment. But first, I want to show you the first thing here on their action plan. It says, Brad and Cindy, on September the 1st, you're going to need to move $186.82 from that high yield savings account over to your checking account to avoid an overdraft. Well, that's a big deal. Nobody likes to pay bank overdraft fees. They can be pretty pricey. But why was the money in savings instead of checking? If they're putting their check into their checking account, why is the money in saving? Because the program is not only going to help them get out of debt and save as much money and time as possible, the program is letting them and guiding them on how to take advantage of that high yield savings account. In other words, guys, you could be earning interest on your money at the same time you're canceling interest on your debts. Friends, both of those combined is extremely powerful. Then you'll notice the next thing is telling Brad after he gets a check and puts it in the checking account, it's showing, hey guys, when you make your mortgage payment, the new balance on that mortgage is going to be $389,511.85. Now I want you to really look at this. I want you to look at the screen. I want you to see this. They just started with this brand new mortgage. Their monthly payment is $2837.65. That's the principal and interest and escrow. $389.9 was their beginning balance. Again, monthly payment $2,837 or $2,800. Let's back up. $2,837. That's their monthly payment. They started at $389.9. They make that first payment of $2,837, and the bank says your new principal balance is now $389,511.85. Wait a minute, what? That's only $388.15. Are you telling me, Mr. Banker, that when I pay you $2,837.65, you're going to credit my account $388.15? Mr. Banker says, yes, That's exactly what we're telling you. You signed the loan documents and we gave you the loan. Friends, are you starting to see an issue or a problem? The problem is most Americans have no idea how loans are truly calculated. And by the way, it's not just mortgages. Any amortized loan, whether it's a car, a truck, a student loan, boat, RV, or a mortgage, has to, by law, come with a loan estimate closing disclosure. So let me kind of take a little sidebar here and give you $1 million education today. This is not Brad and Cindy. This is a different client, but I want to show you this particular client's legal banking loan estimate closing disclosure. This client borrowed $395,126 on their mortgage. The mortgage company says, we're going to loan you that money. That's less than $400,000. But you're not only going to pay that back, you're going to pay back an additional $563,416 of interest. You're going to pay us back total of $972,439.06 total principal and interest. Friends, what does that interest buy this consumer? Think about that. Over $500,000 of interest paid to the mortgage company over a 30-year period of time. What do they gain from that? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They don't get an extra 2 or 3 bedrooms in their house. They don't get an extra 10 or 15 acres of land out back. They're getting nothing for that interest that they're paying the bank, friends. And the same thing is true for all of us. If we're paying interest to the bank, that means our money's not working for us. We're not making interest. We're not earning interest. And we're literally giving money to the bank needlessly. Now, here's the great dilemma. They call this the loan estimate closing disclosure, but I want you to really see what it says. The dilemma is most Americans believe that the advertised APR is indeed their interest rate. Is it? No. The bank even says in writing, APR is your costs over the loan term expressed as a rate, but this is not your interest rate. Do you see that? This is not your interest rate. Again, friends, same thing. Cars, trucks, boats, RVs, mortgages. APR is what they advertise, is what they promote, but it's not the interest rate they're paying. Well, if that's not the interest rate, what is? Oh, it's the total interest percentage. The bank calls it their tip. The total amount of interest that you will pay over the long term, yeah, that's 130.58% interest. Have we got your attention? Friends, you are literally throwing money away every single day when you have debt. You're throwing money away, and it's needless. Now, here's another example. This client borrowed $281,596 on their mortgage. Look how much interest. And they even had an APR of 3.55. Most people would say, man, that's the best interest rate I could ever get. Might be. But is it really 3.55? Nope. That's the APR. The real interest, the tip, yeah, that's 59.26%. So, friends, are you starting to realize that the banks are doing a little bit of, sleight of hand there? Well, how long do you want to play that game with the bank? The Money Max account system was designed and created specifically to help Americans beat the bank. Think about that. You can put all of the mathematics to work for you instead of the bank. Trust me, they have very sophisticated systems working for them. Isn't it time you had one working for you? This is back to Brad and Cindy's action plan, and you'll notice that it's telling them here on the 5th of September, take $1915.08, pay off that American Express. That's going to save you $2,608 of interest. You no longer have to pay American Express. Then take $1876.87, pay additional principal on the Visa. That's going to save you another $2,786 of interest. You don't have to pay the Visa. And then we move into the month of October and it's having them move some more money from checking to savings. Why? Take advantage of that high yield savings account and earn some interest. Nothing else unusual going on the rest of October. We get into November and once again they're paying off some debt. MasterCard, $2,700.32. That's going to save them $4,276 of interest they no longer have to pay. Then we circle back and finish paying off the Visa, $225.72. That's going to save them another $21 of interest they don't have to pay Visa. And then the program says, guys, you've got an opportunity here to save some big money. Let's take $906.22 and pay additional principal on the mortgage. By the way, notice the timing. Friends, timing matters just as much as the amounts and just as much as exactly which bill to pay or which debt to pay and when. Everything matters. Everything is important. Take $906.22, pay additional principal on the mortgage. That's going to give you another $4,452 of savings that you do not have to pay interest on that mortgage. Friends, at the end of November, it tells them to move another $87.87 from checking to savings, taking advantage of that high yield savings account. And here's the point. The point is, in the first 3 months, Brad and Cindy just saved over $14,000 in the first 3 months. Over $14,000 of interest. I'm going to ask Brother Steve Bishop. Steve, would you unmute and just share with people what the Money Max has done for you and Sue and maybe what it's done for some of your clients?
Well, first, Lynn, let me just kind of say thank you so much for presentation. And hey, also, if you remember that client that had paid the tip was 130%, guess what? That's one of our, what it actually is one of our clients. He was very upset. Well, Sue and I first became associated with UFF way back in 2008. We purchased the program, and what the program did at that time, at that time I'd been in the financial services business 37 years, and I thought that I knew everything about how money worked until we purchased the program. Folks, I'm going to tell you the best money that Steve and Sue Bishop ever invested. You notice what I said invested, not spent, was what we paid for this program in 2008 and had not paid another cent. But we live mortgage and debt free. God's blessed us so tremendously. We've got, when I think about all of our clients that are debt free, we got clients all the way from a church to widows to business people. I think right now we got eight clients that are completely mortgage and debt free, and many of those still working to become that. We love what we do. Again, we've been in the financial service business 54 years. I love doing this more than anything I've ever done. Because why? Because it helps people. It changes lives. It changes not just lives now, but generations. My oldest son, they have a beautiful home on 32 acres. A beautiful home they built 2 years ago. No debt, no mortgage. Why? Because before the other home was mortgage and debt free. Why? Because they purchased the Money Max account program about 9 years ago. So, Lynn, what can I say? Listen, I love what it is. And listen, whoever invited you to our presentation, please get back with them. Let them run your numbers and do this. Purchase the program. And then if you're an entrepreneur, then share the program with others. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it very much. And you are so spot on, my friend. Thank you. Now, friends, it gets even better than this. You wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think it could get better than 10 years and saving $337,000, but it can. Brad and Cindy are looking at their budget one day and they're thinking, I wonder if we could beat that 10 years. And they decide to start kind of reprioritizing what they're spending money on. They decide to stop going to Starbucks every day, and that's going to save them about $150 a month if they just start brewing coffee at home. So they go ahead and change their expense budget from $1,750 on the unitemized down to $1,600, again saving $150 a month. And now they're going to be debt-free in 9.6 years and save $343,000. Look at their new payoff date. Friends, everything matters. Now, did they have to change their coffee habit? Nope. They could have just stayed with it the way it is, but they decided to see what would happen if we did this. And customers love that. Clients love that. What if we got rid of a storage unit? What if we did this? What if we got, a better rate on our car insurance? I had a client that literally shopped cell phone plans, and no joke, he called me up and he was so excited. He said, Lynn, we just got a better cell phone plan and it saved us another year of debt payments. Friends, how you manage your money matters. And the Money Max account is going to help you manage your money to the very best of your ability. Now, Brad and Cindy are smart people. They decide if we can earn $1,000 on average after training every time we help another family start their financial freedom journey, why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we taking advantage of that? So they decide we're going to start helping just one family a month. We're going to earn that extra $1,000 a month income. They go ahead and put that in, and look at that. That means they're now going to be debt-free in 7.8 years. Look at their new payoff date, 2031, and they're going to save $372,000. Friends, I want you to hear what I'm about to say. This is important. I want you to hear this. The Money Max accounting system makes it possible for you to choose what your financial future looks like. When would you like to be out of debt? Would you like to be out of debt in 5 years or less? You could. It's simply a matter of helping other people. And it's simply a matter of using the Money Max account to manage your money very precisely. You get to choose what your financial future looks like. Now, Brad and Cindy decide we're a little tight on the budget, a little bit tighter than we thought we would be. So we're going to put some spending money back into the budget. We're going to put the $150 back, and we're going to add another $250 to it. So we're putting $400 a month back into our expenses just because we hate feeling like we're just living paycheck to paycheck. And they're still going to be debt-free in 8.5 years. Again, friends, you get to choose what your financial future looks like with the Money Max account. You get to choose what your debt-free date will be. That's incredible. No other program on the planet allows you to do that kind of financial planning, that kind of financial foresight. No other program on the planet allows you to run what-if scenarios. What if I did this? What if I did that? What if I added a sunroom or a solar panel onto my home? What if I put a pool in the backyard? What if I remodeled my kitchen? What if I bought a rental home? What would that do? Friends, this program is so enlightening and empowering because it lets you see what the results of every decision you make will be before you have to make that decision. Now, for Brad and Cindy, they're pretty happy with this 8.5-year payoff, and they're just going to stay with that for now until Cindy comes home in December and says, honey, you will not believe it, but I got laid off today. I lost my job. Well, there's an unforeseen, right? She didn't plan on it, but it happened. So now Cindy, being the top income earner in the family, she's got to take that income out of the Money Max account. They're left with just Brad and that part-time income. What does the MMA tell them? It says, guys, don't worry about it. Yeah, you're going to run out of money, no doubt, but you're not going to run out of money for 30 months. That's 2.5 years, friends. That gives Brad and Cindy total peace of mind. They know that they're not going to run out of money just on Brad's income and part-time helping one family a month. They don't run out of money till June the 1st of 2026. Now, remember, they started their journey in September of 2023. That is phenomenal news for Brad and Cindy. But Cindy's smart. She says, honey, I'm not going to sit around and wait to go get another job. In fact, I'm not even going to go get another job. I don't want to work for corporate America. They could lay me off. They could do all kinds of things. I don't want to work that way. I want to build our business. I want to build a United Financial Freedom agency business. She decides she's going to go full time with United Financial Freedom. And Brad says, honey, that's brilliant. I support that. That's great. They decide to conservatively put in $3,000 a week income. And you'll see why that's conservative when we show you our comp plan. But even at $3,000 a week income conservatively, that means Brad and Cindy will now be debt-free in 3.5 years. 3.5 years, are you kidding me? We own our home free and clear. The student loans are paid. The car is paid. The credit cards are paid. Yep, 3.5 years. Friends, and if you think I'm just showing you something that's just unreasonably too good to be true, when my wife and I bought this program, we had about 28 years left on our mortgage. And using the program plus becoming agents with the company, the combination of both, we paid off a mortgage, a car. We even traded in the car and got a new truck and paid that off. All of our credit cards, we paid off all of our debt, including our home, in 18 months. Friends, I'm just showing you what's possible. It's up to you to take advantage of it. Remember how much interest the banks were going to charge, Brad and Cindy? Yeah, look at it now. It's cut it way down. They're going to save $442,000 of interest. Friends, that's getting their money working for them. 3.5 years, they're debt-free. They own their home free and clear. For Brad and Cindy, that means by age 38, they're done paying the bank debt payments. What does that really mean? It means that now they have 26.5 years that money that they were paying in debt payments could be working for them. And if they only got a 1% return, and by the way, I already showed you that they're getting more than that in their high yield savings, and we can do much, much better than that on our sister company, United Financial Wealth. We can show people how to build wealth and pay off debt simultaneously using the same dollar twice by combining both of our companies. And it's all guided by the MoneyMax accounting system. But even if they did it the old-fashioned way, just having their money work for them in the bank at just a 1% return, they would have $4.7 million for retirement versus over here on the bank's plan having nothing for retirement. Friends, this is a no-brainer. Which one looks better to you? Do I want to pay the bank or do I want my money working for me? Do I want to pay the bank 30 years? Do I want my money working for me for as many years as possible? It's really no-brainer. I'm going to ask Marty Barthauer to jump in here for a moment before we show you the comp plan and how to earn $1,000 a day or more. Marty, would you just share with people, why did you and your husband buy the MMA when you were already debt-free?
Yeah, so thanks, Lynn. Yeah, I came here as an agent in 2024, immediately saw with the program that if we had had it, even though we got debt free on our own, we did the beans and rice, get out of debt the hard way, just live way below your means for a long time. Does that work? Yeah, if you're really disciplined, that works. But what I saw was if we'd had MoneyMax, we would have gotten out of debt faster. We would have seen that we should buy a home sooner and then saved more money overall in interest than what we did. And so we learned a lot from what we did, but that's why I'm here, is to tell everyone about MoneyMax now so that they can do better than what we did and maximize their financial potential. We knew we were not meeting our full financial potential. I think for a number of factors, we felt a little bit intimidated by the financial world. And we just didn't have the knowledge that MoneyMax has encapsulated kind of automatically for financial literacy right into the program as we use it. And so I'm happy to report that after using MoneyMax for over a year, even though we were doing automatic transfers to retirement and so forth before, we're saving about triple towards that goal because MoneyMax is finding our extra money. It's giving us such clarity as we log in regularly that we just make better decisions because we always know where we're at and we are very clear on what our goals are now. So it's not the beans and rice credit card in the freezer mentality. It doesn't feel sacrificial. It's just fun, and I know what I want. And so we've been able to help numerous families now. And so, like, I have some savings reports here, just a few clients that we've been able to help. This was a business owner who, during COVID, their business took a major hit and they found themselves wondering if they might need bankruptcy. And we ran their numbers. The woman really didn't want to face it. She was kind of avoiding the financial issues. But when we finally got to run her numbers in her free analysis, MoneyMax just did all the math and it said, actually, you can be completely debt free with your mortgage, all your business debt, and all the credit cards that racked up during this time in 6.1 years. And the woman was in tears because she had no idea that that was her actual financial potential. I have another client here. This is not our top client ever, but it's a fun example. This is a real estate investor with 8 properties, 6 mortgages remaining, wants to retire from his full-time job and just do the real estate. He's going to have all of them paid off in 9.9 years and save $749,000 in interest because his money is working for him instead of the bank. And so we never get tired of what we get to share with people here. And what Lynn's about to share with you is, like, the program itself almost seems too good to be true. Many people think that initially. I promise you it's not. It's working for all of us who are here. But the compensation plan also might seem too good to be true. I promise it's not. So listen up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that very, very much. I love what Steve Jobs said when he started Apple. He said, we don't want to give people what we think they want. We want to give them what they never thought was possible. Friends, that's what we do at United Financial Freedom. Now, I'm going to go through this relatively quickly, but I promise you, you can get your questions answered simply by getting back to the person that invited you. We want you to be part of our business model. Why? Because the income is going to put literally rocket fuel on your own personal goals with your finances, but more importantly, friends, there are tens of millions of people out there praying for a solution to their financial woes every night. And we need thousands more agents around the country to help those people. So let us pay you to share this with other people. We want to pay you. We want to pay you generously. Friends, United Financial Freedom put together an agency model system. And it's very, very similar to other agency model systems that I'm sure you're aware of. You've probably done business with a lot of these companies: Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Allstate, Farmers, Century 21, Farm Bureau, Prudential, Remax, Edward Jones, Morgan Stanley, State Farm, New York Life. There's thousands more out there. What is an agency model system? Well, simply put, it's a system where you can build an agency. Now, with any of those, it would have cost you tens of thousands of dollars to get started, and your overhead is just beginning when you open the door because they are brick and mortar businesses. Friends, with us, we are a virtual agency model business, and it's not going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. It's $199 one time to register. That's it. Less than $200. There's no territories. There's no income cap. There's no license required. It's a national opportunity. Automated commission increases, automated rank promotions. Friends, there are 6 different ways to earn money with this company. Again, I'm not going to go into detail, but I'm going to give you the highlights because I want you to get excited. Your life is about to change in a significant way. And I want you to really understand the full power of what we are showing you here today. Now, the first way that we're going to compensate you is with commissions when you help somebody get started on their financial freedom journey. As a brand new associate, you'll be a trainee under a certified field trainer. You'll be assigned a certified field trainer. That certified field trainer is going to do the lion's share of the work. They're going to run the free savings analysis for your prospective clients. They will show the clients how the program works, possibly do a demo for the client and answer all of their questions, and then help them get started. They're going to do everything right. They're going to do everything the correct way and answer the questions correctly. Well, friends, we're in the financial services industry. It's important that we adhere to all of the rules and regulations out there. So you're going to work with a certified field trainer. But even though they are doing the lion's share of the work, on the first 4 training sales, you're still going to earn an average of $600. So friends, you could literally go out and help 4 families in the next couple of weeks, and you could earn $2,400 doing that. $600 per client, $2,400 in the next couple of weeks as you're starting to get into the business and ramp up. Now, as you complete that training, now your commission is going to literally double. Now, every time you help a family, you're going to make about $1,200 on average, and so on and so forth. And friends, you'll notice over here the average number of sales that this takes. As you help more families, you're automatically going to get your contract raised to the next level. You're going to rank, promote up to senior associate, director, senior director, managing director, and so on. So as you help more people, you get a raise in your contract automatically. The computer does it. Friends, let me share with you something that I am super excited about, and that is our Fast Start option. We just instituted this year, and so many people have been taking advantage of this Fast Start option. The Fast Start option simply says this: if in your first 30 days after joining as an agent, if you do 8 appointments with your prospects with your certified field trainer, 8 qualified appointments, and we'll teach you what that means, and at least 4 of them buy the program, which they will once they see their numbers, and at least 3 of those become an agent as well, you can fast track all the way from training associate to director with just 4 sales and 3 agents. And it doesn't have to be 4 plus 3. 3 agents will be part of those 4 training sales. Trust me, when people see this, they want to be part of it. So with just 4 training sales and 3 new agents in your agency, you have now fast-tracked from $600 on average to now where you're making $1,500 every time you help a client. Now think about Cindy. I told you conservatively Cindy would make $3,000 a week. Well, as a director, she only has to go out and help 2 families a week personally. But she doesn't even have to do it all herself because, again, this is an agency model. So as you grow agents in your agency, you get the difference in your contract and theirs. So if they are at a training contract of $600 and you're at the director of $1,500, every time you help somebody come into your agency and get started, that $900 difference goes to you. You get paid the difference or the spread. There's spread between each one of these levels. So if you're a managing director and you're bringing in somebody, even after they're a director and they're making $1,500, there's still $400 spread that goes to you when they help a new client. Are you starting to see the power? And you can go all the way up to executive director by having just 2 directors under you in 2 separate legs. So think about that. What if you were an executive director where now you're earning as much as $2,100 every time you help a family get onto the MMA? If you have 5 agents in your agency, 1 associate, a senior associate, a director, a senior director, a managing director, and you plus those 5 agents each help 1 family a week, you're earning $49.50 a week. That's over $250,000 a year. What if you each helped 2 families a week? Well, now as the executive director of your agency, your income is $9,900 a week, over $500,000 a year. And friends, it doesn't stop there because we get paid generationally. when we produce other executive directors and they are managing their own agencies, this is what we call our franchise component. We get paid on each one of those franchises that we helped open, each one of those agencies. So for an example, let's say that Steve Bishop is an executive director and he's one of my executive directors in my agency. Now he's got other agents in his agency. Every time any of them, whether it's Steve or even his brand new associate, even any of them make a sale, I make $270. Let's say that Steve sponsored Marty and Marty becomes an executive director. Well, now anytime anybody in Marty's agency makes a sale, Steve gets the 270, I get 160. Every time anybody in those agencies makes a sale. Friends, this goes down 6 generations of agencies, not people, 6 generations of agencies. It's phenomenal what the company pays us to help other people save hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's bonus pool money available. Friends, there's so much money here. Why? Because we're helping others and we're doing it the right way. We've got people that will earn 6 figures annually just in bonus pool money. The entire process is super simple. Join the business with the person that invited you. $199. Put it on a credit card, leverage the bank's money. You don't even have to take it out of your pocket. And as Steve Bishop said, get on the program. We've got financing available. Most of our financing is zero down financing, so you're not going to have to take anything out of your pocket. One example that we have is zero down, $149 a month. Well, friends, if you're making $600 on your first training sale, how much did you have to take out of your pocket just to help one client a month? Nothing. Leverage the bank's money. They've been leveraging yours, leverage theirs, and get this thing moving in your favor. You're going to be in profit mode right off the bat, and then just start inviting others. It's really that simple. So just imagine how different your life can be a month from now, a year from now, a week from now. Friends, I love what Zig Ziglar said. He said, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And that's what we have at United Financial Freedom. So I want to encourage you, get back to the person that invited you, have them run a free analysis, get started, start helping other people. And friends, we'd love to welcome you to our team. We've got to bail. We've got another meeting coming up, so we got to bail. But thank you, friends. Appreciate you being part of this today. God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.